Hello.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome, everybody. So, this is a little different for us because we're used to going live in the office or the studio, I guess as it's called, in the morning. So, here we are about 12 hours away from our other live stream and about 12 hours away from our live stream tomorrow. So,
yeah,
you know, rocking around the clock tonight. But today is the first day of Learn to Cook to Impress a Date. So, you know, one of the things we've worked really hard on was this course, Kickstart Your Kitchen. And the thing we've not done is the marketing side of that and getting people interested in this course, telling them what it's about, and most importantly, giving them some value so they can see, hey, we know what we're talking about, and oh, by the way, maybe I'll have a little fun while I take the course too. So one of the things we've decided to do was have this week-long sprint where I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. We're hoping to teach 1,000 people to cook by the end of the week, and we'll see how that goes. We could fall way flat, but hopefully maybe you guys at home can help us out. Certainly y'all know some people, and those people know people. And oh, by the way, this whole thing is free this week. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 5 days that all ends up with the ultimate cook with me on Friday. So Friday night, we're going to have something where we cook an entire meal beginning to end, and it's a meal that will certainly impress a date And oh, by the way, if you want to treat it as a date yourself, it could be a very fun date to have with somebody as you learn to cook a little bit and eat some great meals and also drink some great drinks.
Yeah.
But before we talk more, I guess we should introduce ourselves in case you don't know who we are. Hi, I'm Reed Garcia.
And I'm Danielle Garcia.
Yeah, and our company is called Helpful for Life. So I founded this company about 4.5 years ago, which has been an interesting and exciting journey, which we've shared some about on our live weekday morning show, What the Hell is Water? We'll include a link to that in the chat. But we're now on episode 91 of that, I believe. 92, something like that. And so, yeah, we started that a few months back, and we thought that would be a really fun way for us to start getting things out there more often to you guys, because we have this weird thing we do where even though we're smart and we know a lot of things, when we go to actually put them out there into the world, sometimes we get afraid of them not being perfect or not being right. And so sometimes that prevents us from publishing in the first place. Take tonight, for example. We originally were going to do this a few weeks ago, and then we were going to do it last week, and then finally we pushed it to tonight. And we were like, okay, let's make it happen, put it out there, and this will be the first one we do of these, and who knows what will come next. So tonight is just day one, and what we're going to do is we have 4 main milestones of the course, Kickstart Your Kitchen. So the first one is prep your setup, the second one is plan and shop, the third one is cook your food, and the fourth one is clean up and storage. Yeah, that's what happens when you try and remember them all off the top of the dome. You get them a little bit jumbled. But so what we're going to do is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to go through each of those things. And, it's going to be roughly kind of that. Today and tomorrow will be prep your setup and plan and shop. And then we'll start to cook your food on Wednesday, and then Thursday Wednesday and Thursday will both involve some cleanup and storage. And then on Friday, we'll do all of it. And so that's just kind of letting you see how it compares to the course, but put into terms that you actually care about. We're going to have a meal that we end up cooking on Friday. And on Wednesday, or today, we're going to talk about some of the gear that you might need if you like to enjoy a beverage as well as food. That's something that we like to do, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. We think that really helps make a meal more complete and more impressive and tastier. And yeah, do you remember back when we were in Kentucky and we did the bourbon tasting and we had the chocolate and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. I was surprised. I knew it had affected the flavor, but it's crazy. I don't know, do you think it changed the flavor for you or not so much?
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
That's okay. But yeah, so as we pair drinks with different types of food, and so today we're going to be telling you how to prep your setup, some of the gear you need, and then tomorrow we'll do a little bit more of the planning and shopping, which is a little bit of the meal planning. We'll talk a little bit more about the food that we're actually going to make, and then on Wednesday we're actually going to start cutting some things up. And we haven't decided on the exact specifics yet. That's part of the exciting thing is as we do this and we engage with you guys, we may make some minor tweaks to dive a little more into what you guys are interested in. That's the cool thing about this being live is the questions you ask can drive the conversation. And we can help you out with whatever your specific situation is. But on Wednesday, when we we'll start to cut some stuff up. We'll show you guys some knife skills, show you how to cut a variety of vegetables. And then we'll put that into, I believe the tentative plan is to make one of our 5-finger salads, which is another cool thing that we do is we teach about frameworks and methodologies instead of just a recipe. So instead of just making a salad you could have one time, we teach you, here's the 5 things that you can have as your ingredients. So that way anytime you go to make a salad, you can be flexible based on what you have, based on who you're eating with, and based on what they like. So that's a big thing for us is making sure that we're teaching you guys so you can cook whatever you want, whenever you're feeling it, and make use of resources. Make use of, what are those things called? Leftovers.
I don't know, but I'm already thinking, but tonight we drink.
Tonight we drink indeed. So let's start with that. because that's one of the best things about having a date or anyone else over, or just yourself. You know, that's a big thing. We call this learn to cook to impress a date, but that date can also be you. It's so hard for me to remember what I have said on this video and not on other videos, as I've talked about these things. But alcohol can be involved if you're like us and you enjoy alcohol. But we have some friends who don't drink alcohol at all, but we still make some craft beverages with them. And today we're going to make one called a lemon drop, or the full name is a lemon drop martini.
Yeah, and usually we use vodka for this. But if you happen to run out of one of your staples, which is vodka, then you can use gin or rum. And then it's basically like a daiquiri. It's a very simple drink. It's easily interchangeable with whatever you have on hand.
So what Danielle's trying to do here is cover up for the fact that we don't have any vodka.
Yep.
Which is very rare for us, because normally we have backups and backups for the backups. But don't tell her I said this. You know, I had my mom over this weekend and she likes vodka, so you never know. You never know. But so, yeah, gin or rum? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, let's do rum.
Sure, go for it. So,
Oh my God.
part of the value of learning these frameworks instead of just an individual recipe is being able to change things on the fly, just like this. And that was one of the things for us was, hey, once we learned kind of the handful of really classic ingredients that you can kind of mix and match to make some really delicious drinks, it made it that much easier to do on the fly. And man, we get so many compliments on the drinks we make, but they're really not that complicated, right?
Yeah. So last year I started teaching workshops at the Mill House in McKinney, which is the women's co-working space I'm a member of. And whenever I think my first class was margaritas, and it was literally just tequila, lime juice, orange juice, and some sort of sweetener like agave nectar, or this is simple syrup, which is just equal parts sugar and water, and you heat it until it dissolves and mixes, and that's all. And then it's just super simple but very fresh and delicious. So yeah, we're just grabbing the very, I guess, minimalistic home bartender's tools. You don't really need all that much.
Yeah, so I guess first let's tell everyone about these lovely flowers here, and then we might move them off this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long are we keeping them in frame here? Because, you know, the intention is so nice. Like, oh yay, you walk in with flowers for Danielle. But then it becomes those flowers didn't last very long. Like, why didn't you keep your flowers alive, Danielle? And I'm like, I didn't ask for a guilt trip with my gift of flowers.
Yeah, so for your reference, I bought these flowers last week sometime. It wasn't even Monday, I don't think. So
It may have been.
Well, if it hasn't been more than a full week. And I bought these flowers, and I thought, flowers and chocolate.
It's been over a week.
Well, details. But the point is you guys are, right now it's Valentine's Day. And if you're watching this live, then happy Valentine's Day. But if not, maybe you just had a Valentine's Day celebration. And one of the things that is common in Valentine's celebrations is flowers. And Danielle and I aren't big flower people. We like them, but we like doing some other things as well, like cooking with each other, so we can spend a little more quality time together and eat and drink some delicious things.
Yeah.
So let's get back to that delicious thing that we were making. So what would you say of the gear that I got out? What are like the most necessary things?
So the cutting board and a knife, I would say, are two things to start with, whether that's for home bartendering or cooking. Pretty much, I feel like with every single meal and every single drink, you're going to want a knife and a cutting board. And then I would say actually everything else is pretty much ideal, but very optional. So let's see. So this is a Boston shaker. A shaker of some sort is probably one of the first like bartendery tools I would add to your repertoire, along with some sort of measuring shot glass. So this is a jigger, which is 1 1/2 ounces on one side and 1 ounce on the other side. And they come in different denominations. This is the one we like. We also have these little shot glasses. This one is 2 ounces max.
Yeah, and so one thing I just wanted to point out with these things, which I don't know if you'll be able to see very well, but these have markings all along the sides. So you can get all of the different markings in between, milliliters, ounces, tablespoons, which is nice. And this type here is a kind that you can sit flat on the table and you can pour in and you can look down, and it's angled, so you don't have to get down low to look at the meniscus. Whereas this one is kind of more like a graduated cylinder if you ever took a chemistry class, where it's got all the measurements on the side and it's got a lot of them, so you can be really precise. And again, it doesn't look that clean on the camera, but another one that, especially if you're doing larger amounts, could be really good. So that one's nice.
Yeah, and I think these were both $1 or $2 at Walmart. So
yeah, and for all of these things, later we'll provide links to all of this stuff. But you can also find most of the stuff, at a Walmart or any kind of general big box store, like I guess I said Walmart, Target, something like that, or of course any kind of specialty bartending store. So we've used all three of these, and pretty much interchangeably. But today we're using what's called a jigger, which is a two-sided kind. The main thing with this is, to me, a standard shot of alcohol is 1.5 ounces. That can vary based on the state you're in, but I think 1.5 ounces is kind of the way to go. So if you're getting a jigger, I think having at least one side that's 1.5 ounces is great to help you track how much you're drinking.
Always good to know. And I guess sometimes there are drinks that are 1 ounce could be considered a drink in some states.
But also as you're mixing like various parts and various liquors and things like that, that's the nice thing about having the different in markings, is so you can get different ratios. So we talked about the gear. The shaker is called a Boston shaker, which has two pieces. A lot of times you'll see a shaker that's basically, it comes like a set and it has another piece, that kind of looks like that, and then you would shake like that. This is kind of like that, except it's just called a Boston shaker. The main thing to know with this is fill in a small cup so you don't overflow it. So fill it up in here, and then you can add your ice, and you can go like this and shake, and you're good to go. And the other thing is make sure you pop it down good to seal it, and we'll show you what it's like when it's done. So what do we do first to make a lemon drop martini?
Yeah, so first we prepped the simple syrup, which
if you want to make bartending drinks like at all, I feel like simple syrup's the staple, right?
Yeah. Or another option that was pretty popular for some ladies, if you're trying to go lower glycemic index, then agave syrup is another sweetener. And if you're going to use agave syrup, then I would say my rule of thumb for simple syrup is to start with like a 1/2 ounce per drink. And then this is more concentrated sweetness, so you start out with whatever you use for simple syrup, start out with half of the agave nectar, so a 1/4 ounce to start per drink.
So just so everyone is clear on what simple syrup is, it can vary in ratios, but the standard is 1 part water to 1 part sugar. So to make this, we literally just get one of these Pyrex containers.
Yeah, it's a glass Pyrex container with measurements up the side, and we have a 2-cup one, so we just put 1 cup of sugar and then fill to 2 cups with water. Yeah,
so we'll just basically fill up to here with water, microwave it till it's boiling, then we add in a cup of sugar. You just go up to the 2-cup line, stir, reheat, microwave until it's all boiling, and then you can just leave it in a bottle like we do.
Yeah, I think, and this is just a bottle that used to be something else, but took off the label, cleaned it out, and then you can get these little pour spouts that grew into a variety of sizes of bottlenecks.
Yeah, so we can give links to the spouts.
Yeah, the spout.
And then you can also buy those bottles as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what we'll do sometimes if we have a liquor bottle or something that we want to reuse, we'll just use it because bottle free, basically.
Why not?
So sweetener, you got that. You can also do a 2-to-1 syrup, which would be 2 times as much sugar as water. Or you can use another sugar like sugar in the raw, or known as demerara sugar, and you can make a different type of syrup with that. So changing the type of sweetener you use is a huge knob to change. As she mentioned, agave. You could also use honey. You could use maple syrup, stevia. All these alternative sweeteners and things like that as well.
I've used all of these things as sweeteners in the past.
Yes, because you're so sweet. All right, what do we do next?
So now we cut the lemons.
All right.
I would say.
You want to do that, or do you want to talk me through it, or what?
I will do it.
Got it.
And, I mean, there's multiple ways to cut a lemon. But you have a whole video on manipulating citrus in the course. I think it's actually a free preview.
Yeah, I
Possibly.
do. That was a lovely segue, Danielle. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, so we have a whole little, I think it's by itself, a video is like 10 minutes. And then we break it into all the different parts about manipulating citrus. We say the various things you can do to get more juice out of it, like rolling it, heating it up, the way to cut it to get the most out of it as you're juicing it, which is kind of like what she's doing here, slightly different. But the big thing about all of those things you'll learn there and all the things that you'll learn today is rules are okay to be broken. But if you know about them, then you can be more smart about them as you break them. And I'm an avid rule breaker, so don't worry about that.
Me too. And the rule that he was referring to right there was whether you cut the end off of the citrus before you squeeze it out. So like with this one, this is the half of the lemon, and now we can cut off that little end, and so it kind of gives a little, well, now if I could just cut off the pulp where there's a little tiny little
the main thing that it does
hole to let the juice flow through
is that it gets rid of the half sphere, so it makes it slightly less strong. So you can squeeze it out and squeeze it all the way through and get it inverted a little bit better. So another thing, and this is where Danielle and I differ a little bit, is on how much we like to measure when we're making drinks. So right now, you'll see Danielle is just squeezing a lemon straight into the cup.
Yep.
Whereas typically what I like to do is I squeeze it into a separate container. There's another pro tip for you. If you're having a bunch of people over, or you just know you're going to have a good night, go ahead and wash and cut up and squeeze all of your citrus and have it in little containers. So you could have the lime juice prepped, the lemon juice prepped. Now, if you've got a roommate or a friend that you know would probably get too drunk if they figured that out, then just keep that to yourself and then just point to the extra ones for them to cut whenever they need to make you a drink. Got you, fam. But if you're not measuring like Danielle's doing here, it's completely fine. It's just know that it's more important to taste at that point, which is a thing that we say a lot in Kickstart Your Kitchen and is extremely important, which is to taste as you go. Because at the end of the day, recipes are going to give you a good place to start. But that's the beauty of learning to cook, is you can customize it to whatever you like. So if someone gives you this lemon drop and it's like, that's a little too sweet for me, or maybe that's a little too tart for me, or I need to up the booze content on that one, that's up to you to decide. And so by knowing the frameworks, knowing what you can tweak, then that helps you do it more often and do it more easily. Now the benefit of measuring is that my perfect ratio is about 2 parts of lemon, 1 part of sweetener to 1 part of alcohol. But the value of Danielle's kind is she degaffs,
Yeah, so usually I start with like a rule of thumb for a single drink. So like 1 shot of liquor, 1.5 ounces of liquor. I would start with half a lemon per drink as my rule of thumb. For us, we're going to be making 3 drinks, and I'm probably going to make them doubles, to start off the night in a fun way. So we will do the lemons we got, which is 4 halves, 2 whole lemons. And then we'll see how that plays with the sweetness and the amount of booze from there.
Cool. So for the lemon drop martini, so we've got citrus, we got sweetener, and we've got booze. So you want this? I'm going to put that away.
We can put that away. I'll use the simple syrup. And we are making 3 drinks. So I will do 1.5, which is half an ounce per drink times 3.
Math.
Yep, there we go.
Also known as
1.5 ounces
One
of
shot.
sweetener. 1 shot of sweetener.
So one of the benefits of using a jigger is you don't have to think that much about your math. You can just say, oh, 1 part this, 1 part that. The only time you need to do math is if you're trying to use one of the smaller amounts. So that's one thing that's not quite as nice about this shot glass is a jigger. A lot of times a jigger will be exactly half on the opposite side. So you can just be like 1 part, 2 part, but you make do.
But this way you can have other ratios with.
Yeah,
other
I mean,
parts.
I prefer having the extra lines.
So yeah, so now we've got our lemon juice in there, our sweetener in there, and now we're just adding the liquor. So.
And it's worth noting, even though you can't see because it's pretty dark, that there's no ice in here. This is all just liquid.
So far.
So that's another little pro tip for you is that add your ice at the very end, because one of the things that ice does is it waters down your drink. And a little bit is good because the ice melting actually provides that water, which helps balance out the liquor a little bit. You may have heard of people who drink scotch who just put like a single ice cube or even just a drop of water in their scotch, and it actually makes a really big difference. So water is a good thing, but you want to control how much you get in there. And that's where putting your ice in later and using different types of ice, if you put a bunch of small Sonic ice in here, for example, then that would melt a lot more, whereas regular ice cubes will be okay. What are you looking for?
I was gonna get the martini glasses down so we can put them in the freezer to get frosty.
Yeah, so there's another pro tip, especially as you're trying to impress a date. If you pull out your frosty martini glass, now one thing you do is you just throw the whatever this is called.
Martini
glass straight in the freezer. If you go to a bar or something, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll put ice water in here, and as they're making the drink in front of you, they'll just have this sitting there next to it, and then they'll dump out the ice water right at the end. We'll give it a rinse because it might have been a little dusty, and then we'll put it in the freezer.
Cool.
So I'll get the other one. So is that ready for ice?
Yes. And also I was trying to see, because I know we had 3 martini glasses, but I only saw 2.
Well, I'll deal with that.
Okay. So yes, now we shall fill this shaker with as much ice as will go in there. Oops. And here comes Lincoln, because whenever we get ice out of the freezer, Lincoln comes and stands and looks at us, waiting for ice expectantly, so I will drop one.
We call it the
for
ice
Lincoln.
tax.
Pay the ice tax. Okay, that's probably as much ice as will fit in there. We'll just, float a couple more on there. There we go. Okay. Give this a rinse too.
So, another pro tip for you, which we'll show you after she makes the drink, is to, right after you use your bartending stuff, just give it a quick rinse in the sink. If you dump it out, rinse it right away, you don't even need to worry about washing it with soap. Don't tell anyone I told you that. But especially if it's like on the weekend or something like that. Oh, one of the things we maybe didn't point out was the big black bar mat underneath.
Oh, yeah.
So we actually have 2 of those. So you can see here, the one next to our sink is actually what we normally use for just our dirty dishes and stuff. So it doesn't soak the water all over the counter. And then I can rinse out something and put it over here without having to worry about the water. And then the other one over here is the one we typically use for our bar making stuff, but it looked a little better on the camera for us to stand back here. But the nice thing about this mat is it catches all of your drippings. So you don't have to worry about getting the counter messy. Or if you're like me, when I was at the Super Bowl party last night, I was pouring myself a freaking Dos Equis, just a beer with a little squeeze of lime. And I managed to spill it. And if you've ever spilled liquids, you know that they're the bane of existence. However, if I had been on one of those mats, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But it was a big deal because that beer, guess what? It dripped over the side, and then it went down into the drawer, and then down into the cabinet, and then down into the purse, and then down into the floor. All of those problems are solved forever if you just get one of these mats, which costs like $10 or something. So we'll definitely include a link to that. Highly recommend it. I recommend having one by your sink too, because it gives a nice natural area for it to say, hey, it's okay for there to be about this many dishes here, but if it starts to overflow, that's when you're like, maybe I need to go do some dishes. So it gives a nice virtual reminder for that too. Visual reminder.
Well, I was going to say, it's basically a virtual reminder because we always have dishes off of this mat. So, now, it's time to shake it. And as, what's the dude's name on Bar Rescue?
Taffer. Dog
yeah, there was this
John Taffer.
John Taffer. We used to watch this show called Bar Rescue, where he would come in and yell at all these bar owners, and then he would yell at the bartenders and tell them to shake it with a smile. So you have to, even when it's hard and it's really cold. Oh, I thought that one shifted a little bit. Stay in there. And then, my rule of thumb, as you shake it, you have your first shake. And that's until it gets too cold for your hands the first time. And then you give your hands a rest, and then you go back for the second shake once they warmed up again, and then that's how you know you've shaken it enough. To where hopefully it gets those little ice crystals in it. That's the best.
Nice. And also, if you're doing this...
Okay. Also, it's Valentine's Day. It's like training with a shake weight, right?
There you go. If you're doing this for a date or whatever, yeah, make sure to make eye contact right in their
and
eyes.
maybe don't do it so...
Yeah, maybe more loving and caring, or maybe, you know, just gotta...
I'm gonna stop shaking.
Get a little dance going.
Oh, nice.
Just don't go like this when you're on camera, because it's not the best look. But, alright, so you're shaking it, your hands are cold. Now what?
Yes. Now, you pop the top off. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. Okay.
Cool. And real quick, for those of you who use a Boston shaker or have not used one before, you can see how, let's see, there's a line here where
the median, or whatever.
it's tilted towards me, okay? If you want it to get it popped off, you got to go the opposite direction, perpendicular to it. So if it's tilted at you, you can tilt side to side, and it kind of make a pop sound. Because what happens is as it gets cold, it forms a vacuum, gets it sucked, and then you just kind of pop it to the side, and then it'll pop off. Another thing you can do if you still can't get it off is you can wrap it in like a towel like this and kind of bang it on the side of the counter. Or on your date's head, depending on how your date's going.
Wonderful. Okay. Wait, don't throw those away yet, because we gotta do we want to do sugar rims or no?
Sure.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was like, if we're talking about impressing a date,
No
then...
garnish. I forgot our garnish.
Oh, well, we used all the lemons, so there you go. This is why we're doing the rim.
All right.
Sugar.
Got that. I just need sugar. So, to make a sugar rim on a glass, you need two things: sugar and some sort of moisture to go on the edge of the glass. And so what you could take is just some plain white sugar, and if you put it basically just on a plate, of course I chose the white plate, that wasn't the best option, but you just kind of have it all piled on one side. You want a little bit of a pile that can be useful, or you can go completely flat. there's two kind of ways you can do it. But let's see how you do it, Danielle. So for the sticky part, what do you like to do to get it sticky?
So I like to use one of these lemons.
Your spent lemons?
A spent lemon, yes. And then here for the glasses.
Yeah. And the nice thing about using the spent lemon is it's, you know, you can always just use water or like a damp paper towel or something like that. But the lemon you can kind of use as like a little squeezy. And you can just squeeze right on the lip like that. And it's stickier. I think it holds the sugar better than just water does.
I agree.
And this is also where if you want to get like creative and fancy, you can. And Danielle's just doing a simple rim with this one. But you can give it like a very wide rim off of the side or something like that. Oh, now I get what you're saying.
So there, it's a fancy rim. It's frosty.
Yeah, so you got one nicely rimmed. So another thing that you would do would be a garnish. So I'll work on a little small something for that. Do you want to strain it or what?
Sure. Well, I was gonna do the other rims.
Oh, all right, then do that. And so normally when you're trying to make a garnish, you want to start before you've squeezed all the lemons. But since we had ours get moldy, we only had just the right amount of lemons. But guess what? In the course, we show you a bunch of different ways you can make garnishes. Anything from a wedge, which by the way, there's two different ways you can cut citrus. And if you cut it long ways versus, you know, I guess hamburger versus hot dog, if you want to say that, or equator versus prime meridian, it has different uses. One's better for getting a beer bottle, another one's better for sitting on a glass, for example, as a garnish. We also show you a little spiral that you can do. Of course, you can just take the lemon sideways like this and cut like a very thin slice and just kind of have it float on top. There's a lot of different things you can do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I can just kind of spin the glass and the lemon. So what are you working on?
Oh, just improvising some garnish here.
Yeah, normally, if you have extra lemons, I would recommend, I feel like my latest garnish of choice is to do a wheel. So take a lemon and then like cut it down the middle like half. Yeah, so basically like a cross section.
And then don't use that lemon.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just take a very thin cross section like that.
Mhm. And then you can just float that wheel on top of your drink. I think that looks pretty fancy.
Yeah, that is a good one. All right, so you got them all sugared up?
Yep.
Oh, so I was trying to describe like alternative rim jobs you could do.
There was like a little
You can see like a little dip there.
Yeah.
Some people, like some restaurants will go like all the way down.
Yeah, and then some restaurants, like if you order a beer and you order it dressed, then that's like salt down the side of the neck of the bottle of beer.
And
like would be on a margarita.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing to keep in mind as you're rimming, as you can use different spices, different things like that. So like maybe some cinnamon sugar could be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Another spice that I'm going to pull out is called tahini. Tell people about tahini, Danielle.
So tahini is great to rim the glass with margaritas instead of regular salt because it's like a salty chili lime mixture. So it's got some lime in the salt and like also like a spicy chili powder sort of mixture. So yeah, tahini is great.
Yeah, so TAJIN. So we'll try and find a link for that as well, but you can find that in the international aisle of your grocery store. If you have like Mexican stuff like salsa, tortillas, things like that, go check over by that. And of course, you can also look Mexican grocery store. Excuse me. Hi, Poppy. You can look up a Mexican grocery store on your Maps app and find one near you. In Texas, we've got plenty, but this thing is so good. You can do it for margaritas. If you have some fresh fruit, you can shake
like
some of that on it.
The best.
Yeah, lots of possibilities.
So yeah, let me just pour out the lemon drop. So, whoop. That one gets more, that one gets more, and that one. There she blows.
Nice.
And then, do we have a garnish? Do we want a garnish or just go with the rims?
Well, here's just a very simple garnish, which is just a straight line cut out of the rim. And, you know, I thought about getting fancy and having like a heart or something like that. Here is a half-botched attempt that I spent about, 30 seconds trying to make. But yeah, you can get creative, and that's the thing. You just try something out, and, if it looks cool, great. If not, take it out. It's really not that big of a deal. But maybe you did some X's and O's to be like your hearts or your kisses. So one thing Danielle did not do as she was making this drink, which is one thing I definitely recommend you do, which is try the drink before you pour it out.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just because I'm so confident in this drink. I've made it so many times that I know it's going to be delicious.
Well, in that case, I think we should probably try it. What do you think?
I agree.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's so simple, it's still very good.
Yeah.
And as a reminder for those of you who are keeping score at home, we called this a lemon drop martini, but we used rum instead of vodka.
So it's sort of like a lemon drop daiquiri, but
Yeah, because a daiquiri is rum. It's basically this, but rum
and lime juice
and sweetener.
Yeah.
So we actually taught you guys 2 drinks today. And this is kind of a hybrid of the two, between a daiquiri and a lemon drop martini.
Exactly.
And in case you're wondering about a brand of rum to get, I've by no means done extensive testing, but I did ask somebody, hey, what's something besides Bacardi? And they're like, oh, a lot of people recommend Don Q. And they have different types of rum as well besides just the silver one, but we've gotten it for a while and we like it a lot.
So, I don't know what else to say, but happy Valentine's Day and cheers.
Happy Valentine's Day and cheers. Cheers. So, the last thing, give me that towel, please. Last thing I wanted to tell you guys about was just the last couple of things that are involved with getting your setup prepped. Because I feel like some people get really intimidated by the kitchen because they don't even know where to start. And so by starting with some of the right gear, it can make things a lot easier for you. And so that's what we've done. We actually have lists that are within the course. And if you're interested in them, you can get them through the course. And the lists help you get all of the gear that you need so you don't have to think about it. And we actually have it at multiple levels. So we have it for, hey, I'm just trying to get just the basics, the bare minimum to get by. I can't really afford to do much. I don't have that big of a kitchen right now. To like, oh, I'm really into cooking. I want to do all the things and I'm okay splurging and that type of thing. So we help you guys figure that out. So just like today, like in reality, all you need for this is a cup and a knife. So you can get by with the minimum. You just need to cut up the lemon, squeeze it. You could use your hand to strain it out. Ideally, if you have a shot glass or something small, you could use as a way to kind of count your proportions. But other than that, sugar water, fresh citrus, which, you could buy, lemons for, 30 cents, 50 cents, something like that. And for really cheap, you can have a really tasty drink. And we're not going to push a bunch of gear on you guys that you don't need. But other than the gear, the other parts about prepping your setup are stocking up with the staples. And so as you guys see here, we didn't already have it out. We just know we always have white sugar. That's one of our key staples. Danielle, on the other hand, she always has mac and
White
cheese.
Like Parmesan, multiple kinds of Parmesan usually.
White American cheese.
Yes.
We always have, of course, things like milk
Kraft
and
singles.
eggs. And we always have bread
Pasta.
and pasta. Yep.
Annie's boxed mac and cheese.
If you're noticing a trend here, there's pasta and cheese,
bread,
and
butter.
bread and butter.
That's my 3 food groups. Cheese, bread, and butter.
So we talk you guys through how to stock up your staples, which includes the freezer, the fridge, and the pantry. And, you know, one of the really cool things for us as we've learned to cook is that we've gotten to the point where we can just look at what we have, which can include our staples. Sometimes it includes some extra things we got from the grocery store. Sometimes it's just leftovers, and we haven't been to the store in weeks. But we can look in the pantry, the fridge, and the freezer, and we can throw something together really easily. And that's just like probably the biggest skill that I'm looking to help get more people to do, is to look at cooking less as something that's really anxiety inducing and stressful to something that you can enjoy. It can make your life more fun and healthier. It can save you a bunch of money too. So anyways, that's the staples. And another thing we talk about in the Prep Your Setup is effectively organizing your space. So we walk through how to lay out your kitchen. So right now we have our dishwasher right here. Well, where your dishwasher is can help you determine where you want to put certain things that you use the most. Like, for example, our plates are up there because we use those all the time. And we load them into and out of the dishwasher a lot of times, so they're nice and close to us. We also go through the pantry, how to deal with the Tupperware and things like that, and of course drawers and other things like that too. So that's pretty much kind of the Prep Your Setup at a glance. And the beauty of this week is we're just getting started. We really want you guys to engage with us. You know, today we ended up doing this a little last minute without much notice, but what we really want to hear from is you guys. We want you guys to be there in the chat, hearing what you think, asking whatever questions you guys have, and anything we can't answer live, we'll get back to you guys on. Because the bottom line is we want to help 1,000 people learn how to cook this week. And we also want people to have this week be the first step in their cooking journey. And so one of the ways that they can take that step a little further is to buy the course. So you can go to kickstartyourkitchen.com and you can buy the course today. And normally the course is $99, or you can pay $10 a month for a year to get it at $120 overall, but have that lower price where $10 a month, you know, if you know how to cook, we're going to be able to save you that much in groceries, easy, no problem. And then as you're making more food and probably making more friends and family happy because of the stuff that you're making, it'll be and should be the easiest decision that you ever make, because guess what? You can get all your money back. So I don't know how to say much more without going too infomercially, but we are discounting it this week for the special week of love to $69. And that actually came as a non-sexual suggestion at all, but of course, helpful for life.
I thought it was always sexual.
Yeah, we have a whole episode on 69 on our morning talk show. If you're curious about it, you can check that out. But the $69 special for the week, so we can encourage you guys to go ahead and get bought into that course. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you aren't getting the transformation you want out of it, please let us know so we can fix it. But if not, take your money and run, because there are plenty of other people out there who are looking to learn how to cook and how to drink well and how to impress both a date but also themselves as they're cooking, maybe just even on a weekday night. So with that, sayonara.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day and cheers.